Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where I'll be bringing you 6 tips and fundamentals for beginners to help you get started and improve in Overwatch. Before I begin, I want to emphasize that this video is meant for new players who are just picking up the game, so if you're a veteran or a high-ranking player, you may not find a lot of value here. If you're below Diamond, you might find something in this video useful, so be sure to stick around. So I'm just going to get straight to the point and we'll begin with tip number 1, and that is to understand all the heroes and their abilities. Currently there are 32 heroes in Overwatch, and if you're just picking up the game, it may be overwhelming to learn what each hero does and what they excel at. The easiest way to do that is to go to the practice range and start by picking different heroes of all roles to test their abilities and ultimates. Some heroes have a passive ability as well, so be sure to take note of that. You can easily check all of the heroes' kits at the hero selection by pressing F1. Understanding what each hero can do is important to develop your game knowledge and awareness. And my second tip is to try different roles. I feel like a lot of new players are drawn to the damage or DPS role just to get kills because that's what they know from playing other shooters. Overwatch is a lot more than just getting kills. It's an objective and teamwork based game filled with a plethora of heroes, each of which have an important role to the team. Trying different roles will help you learn what you're good at and what you're not. Do you feel like you're making an impact on your role? If not, try a different one. For example, if you're playing DPS and consistently not getting or securing kills for your team, maybe try playing tank or support. You may find yourself being a lot more useful as the frontline and creating space for the team, or supporting your team by healing and providing utility. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be playing what you want to play, but my point is to find your strengths and see where you fit best out of all 3 roles. My third tip is to not be afraid to use your ultimate and know when to use them. Ultimates turn the tide of team fights and can even dictate which team will win based on how much value they get out of the ultimate. What I notice a lot in newer players is that they either hold on to their ultimate until the end of time or they use it at the wrong time. So don't hold on to your ultimate until the end of the game, because here's the good news. You can get it again, and at the same time, you don't want to waste your ultimate. When you're first playing Overwatch, knowing when to use your ultimate can be tricky since there's a billion things that are going on in the game. Using ultimates can be situational and there are a number of ways to use them, so I'll give you a general guide on when you can or should use them and when you shouldn't use your ultimate. You can use your ultimate to initiate team fights, to help turn team fights around when your team is at a slight disadvantage, to counter enemy ultimates, to combo with teammates, to save teammates, and when the match is in an overtime or last second situation. Times when you shouldn't use your ultimate are when you've lost a team fight or when your team has already used their ultimates and it won you the team fight as a result. In this case, there is no need to invest any more ultimates as you have already won the team fight, so it is best to save it for the next fight. Another thing I want to add is that you shouldn't wait to use your ultimate for that perfect scenario. I see this a lot with Zarya players, for example, where they hold on to their ultimate until they can catch 6 people in the grav just to feed their ego. You can get a lot more value using your ult to get 2 kills, which in theory should win you the fight, then farm your ult again to try and win the next engagement. It's important to keep in mind that the more ultimates that you can get in a game, the more you are likely to win team fights if you're getting value out of using them. And this brings me to the next topic, and that is knowing when a team fight is won and when it is lost. So how do you know when a team fight is won or lost? Pay attention to the kill feed and be aware of the numbers advantage of both your team and the enemy team. For example, your Reinhardt lands a 3-man Earth Shatter and your team ends up getting 3 kills from it while all 6 players on your team are still alive. At that point, the team fight is won and the remaining players that are alive from the enemy team will shortly die because they simply don't have the numbers to win. Overwatch revolves around team fights, so it's important to know when they're won or lost simply by knowing who is dead and who is alive both on your team and the enemy team. My next tip is to communicate and play as a team. As I've mentioned earlier, Overwatch is a teamwork based game. It doesn't matter how many kills or medals you have. If you're playing Overwatch with a mindset of carrying your team by yourself, then good luck. What good is a 6-man Graviton or Earth Shatter if there's no follow-up from your team? This happens often with newer players or players in the lower ranks where they'll go in 1v6ing the enemy team, then complain to their team that they're not going in or not doing anything. Playing as a team is a key fundamental in Overwatch, and you will always need help from your teammates in some way, shape, or form. So don't try and do everything by yourself because you won't get very far. Communicating is just as important as playing as a team. Important things to call out are enemy positions, if you're about to use your ult, or if you need help, just to name a few. Not everyone will be on the same page that you're on when you're in a game, so it's important to relay information to your team so they can follow up. And my sixth tip is to minimize your deaths as much as possible. I know this sounds obvious, but it's very important to maximize your uptime to increase your chances of winning. Every time you die, it takes 10 seconds to respawn, and then you have to consider the time it takes to get back to your team. This can add up to a total of 15 seconds or more of not contributing anything to your team, and in Overwatch, that's a lot of time wasted. So how can you minimize your death count? One of the best ways is to have good positioning and movement. If you're making it hard for the enemy to damage or kill you through good positioning and movement, the chances of you surviving are a lot more compared to being caught isolated and out in the open while standing still. Even though Overwatch has a respawn mechanic, it's really important to remember that your presence has a big impact on winning engagements, so stay alive as much as possible. And finally, for my last tip, it's to learn from watching top tier players who are either professionals or streamers, and watching your own gameplay to learn from your mistakes. If you really want to improve in Overwatch outside of playing the game, an effective way is to learn from players who are better than you. For me personally, watching and learning from pros and top tier players who stream helped me climb the ladder from low plat to high masters. Another great way to learn is by watching and analyzing your own gameplay to look for your mistakes and deaths. Once you're aware of these mistakes and learn from them, you can apply your newfound knowledge into your following games to be played. You can watch your replays by clicking on the career profile, go to the replays tab, and you can select any of your recent games you want to view. The important things to take out of this video are understanding all the heroes, try different roles, knowing when to use your ultimate, understanding won or lost team fights, playing as a team, minimizing your deaths, and learning from yourself and top tier players. That's it for me guys, and I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe so I can make more videos like this. I'll leave the rest of the video to play if in case you want to watch it. This gameplay was a low Grandmaster competitive game, and it was actually a pretty cool opportunity to play against Jake, who was an ex-professional from the Overwatch League. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon. Peace out.
I will keep you here.
Gotta push up on it.
Just a scratch, you'll be fine. I My sound barrier is almost ready. My ultimate is charging. You're powered up. Get in there. Nap time. Let's break it.
Super little. The burn. GG.